Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a literally unprecedented tri-nation spectacle, the 2026 World Cup opening ceremonies. We're going to use the actual broadcast scripts to see exactly how this historic multi-country kickoff came together.
So you really have to wonder, right? How do you actually open a massive global event like the World Cup in 3 different countries at once? Well, creative director Marko Balic faced what might be the ultimate logistical and creative puzzle here. He couldn't just plan one massive party. He had to orchestrate 3 completely distinct ceremonies across North America, all while somehow making them feel like one cohesive, unified celebration of the beautiful game.
And the scale of this thing? Absolutely staggering. With a record-breaking 48 teams competing from all over the globe, Balic had to pull off these 3 distinct ceremonies across Mexico, Canada, and the United States just to properly welcome this massive, expanded roster. Here is our agenda for today. First, we'll cover the unprecedented triple opening. Second, Mexico's heritage launch. Third, Canada's cultural mosaic. Fourth, the USA's star-studded spectacle. And finally, how they brought 3 nations into one tournament.
All right, part 1, an unprecedented triple opening.
The logistics here were basically a rapid-fire marathon. Things kick off on June 11th down in Mexico City. Then, jumping to the very next day, the party hits Toronto in the afternoon, before wrapping up that same evening in Los Angeles. Just a massive 24-hour whirlwind.
Moving on to part 2, Mexico, the heritage launch.
If you've ever stepped into the iconic Estadio Azteca, you know you are immediately hit with the sheer sensory energy of the place. It's vibrant, it's historic, and man, is it loud. The creative direction leaned right into that amazing legacy, painting the stadium in an absolute sea of green, white, and red. Picture the booming echo of wooden Aztec drums transitioning into a heavy, modern stadium beat. First, the lights dim and 500 indigenous dancers in Aztec, Mayan, and Zapotec attire weave through massive sheets of papel picado. Next, a colossal 30-foot inflated World Cup trophy rises up, surrounded by dancers gleaming in silver and gold, simulating a sunburst. And finally, 48 massive flags pour onto the pitch, while pyro flares literally shoot right off the Azteca's roof. And the musical firepower Mexico brought was incredible. They seamlessly blended global Afrobeats, Latin rock, and chilling classical anthems. I mean, you had Shakira and Burna Boy ascending on a hydraulic stage, Maná driving 87,000 fans completely wild, and then Andrea Bocelli coming in to deliver this spine-tingling classical anthem. Then, as fireworks are just lighting up the night sky, the announcer's voice booms through the stadium. Bienvenidos al Estadio Azteca. Bienvenidos a la historia. Welcome to the heart of football, for a record 3rd time Mexico welcomes the world. It was such a powerful reminder that this specific venue has hosted some of the absolute greatest moments in sports history. Which brings us to part 3, Canada, the cultural mosaic. Now the vibe shifts entirely here. Stepping away from the heavy, booming drums of Mexico City, Toronto brought a crisp, deeply inclusive, and surprisingly intimate atmosphere, playing out entirely under the bright afternoon sun. It was a totally different flavor of celebration.
The creative team engineered a really fascinating contrast for this one. They opened in profound silence, with indigenous artist William Prince stepping into a single spotlight for a land acknowledgement. And from there, they successfully pivoted right into a high-energy pop explosion, ending the whole thing in a massive sea of red and white confetti.
They put together an incredibly diverse lineup of headliners, too, from Michael Bublé to Alanis Morissette, all performing on a giant maple leaf-shaped stage. The coolest part? They were surrounded by hundreds of dancers shifting around the field in red and white garments to mimic the movement of a breathtaking aurora borealis.
And actor Will Arnett really hit the nail on the head live on the pitch, just before a video montage showed youth playing soccer from Vancouver to Halifax. He yelled, "Welcome to Toronto. We are a nation built on a mosaic of cultures, and today every single one of your nations is right at home here." It perfectly summarizes the heart of the Canadian ceremony: total global inclusivity. Let's move to part 4, USA star-studded spectacle. We accelerate again, this time into the massive cinematic scale of Los Angeles. The US opening didn't hold anything back. It leaned 100% into the ultra-modern, high-octane Hollywood energy and tech grandeur that LA is famous for around the world.
The pop takeover was immense. We're talking aerial entrances, like Katy Perry literally descending on a neon crescent moon, and bass that physically vibrated through the stadium seats. You had Perry passing the baton to hip-hop icon Future, plus global pop sensations Lisa, Tyla, and Anita. Future and Tyla even took center stage surrounded by 300 hyper-choreographed dancers.
Imagine a roaring jet flyover, physically shaking the stadium, while state-of-the-art projection mapping turns the entire field into a digital American flag. Then the announcer just screams, "From sea to shining sea, America, it is game time!" It was a classic, high-adrenaline moment, custom-built to give the crowd absolute goosebumps.
The staging here heavily prioritized unmatched visual spectacle. First, an iconic drumline marched in perfect symmetry around a gold star, complete with laser-backed George Washington theatrics. Then, SoFi's massive infinity screen displayed a high-definition countdown traveling through all the host cities. Finally, pillars of fire shot into the air right alongside a totally synchronized roof light show as the digital crests of all 48 countries swirled around the screens.
Finally, Part 5, 3 Nations, 1 Tournament.
It's really amazing to see how Marco Balic's team defined a core creative theme for each country, rather than trying to make them all look identical. They let the unique staging elements, the Papel Picado in Mexico, the Aurora Borealis in Canada, and the Infinity Screen Pyro in the US, tell 3 completely distinct cultural stories, perfectly side by side.
So, the big takeaway from this explainer is that treating the opening as 3 interconnected acts wasn't just a clever logistical solution, it was a genuine creative masterpiece. The fact that they seamlessly wove these drastically different atmospheres together within a 24-hour window truly sets a brand new standard for global sporting events. Which leaves us with one huge question as we wrap up this explainer. If you were directing the next multi-nation World Cup, how could you possibly top the cultural and technological fusion of 2026? The blend of heritage, incredible tech, and sheer scale across 3 nations is just staggering. Let that sink in, and thank you so much for joining us on this journey today.